What's up, banana bunch? Bunch? Bunch?
Welcome to the Jungle Gyms podcast. What's up, Banana Bunch? You know what time it is. It's time for another episode of the Jungle Gyms podcast. If you're a first-time listener, welcome to the show. We're the world's largest international market. We got a lot of fun stuff going on. And if you're a long-time listener of the show, thank you for listening. This is a part of the show where I ask you all, head over to Apple Podcasts and give me a nice review of the show. It doesn't have to be a nice review. I just want any review of the show. Let me know what you think. And as always, I want to encourage you to reach out and get engaged. I like to make content for all of you, so you can shoot me an email at podcast@junglegyms.com. Let me know. If you're listening to the audio-only version, again, thank you. But I want to recommend you all join in on the video version. YouTube's making a big push for podcasts, and we want to be one of the best ones on there. So, this week on the show, I've got all kinds of fun stuff coming up for you. We've got a bodybuilder in here, and she's sharing some nutrition facts with some of the stuff she buys here at Jungle Gyms. Then, I've got vegan treats from Chubby Bunny Bakery, as well as some hummus from Chickpea Chicks. But coming up next, let's head back to the studio. Jelly versus jam. What's the difference, right? We're going to find out all through this. Oh. That's right, it's a little joke. We're back at 50 West. I'm interviewing a pineapple because we're doing our Pineapple Whip, the 5th beer in the Road to the Jungle series. Now, if this all made a little less sense to you in the audio-only version, I highly recommend you check us out on YouTube because the joke plays great there. So here we are cutting some pineapple. We're dumping some pineapple into the brew tanks here. There's the forbidden milkshake hose, and we've got all kinds of fun stuff. They let me touch knobs and be in charge of things. I'm looking forward to it. Check out what we cooked up with 50 West. All right, so I'm here at 50 West. Ferd, we're making a beer, apparently. You want to tell everybody what they can look forward to? This is part of Road to the Jungle, right?
Yes, this is going to be Road to the Jungle Volume 5, and we are doing a pineapple whip. So it is going to be vanilla, lactose, and lots of pineapple. So it's going to actually be the most lactose ever put into a beer at 50 West. And then also the most pineapple put into a beer in 50 West.
What's the next step in the process?
So we're fruiting the beer today. So we boiled everything, did the mash last week. So now it's in the fermenter. We're going to add the pineapple. We're going to use a bunch of pineapple that we brought from Jungle Gyms, and we're also going to use a bunch of pineapple puree. Because Scott and I don't have the time to cut that much pineapple.
Hey, what are you doing?
Cutting some pineapples for a beer we're about to fruit.
So real quick on the lactose side, I know we covered this briefly last time. Could you tell everybody what the point of adding lactose to a beer like this is?
Adds a little body, some mouthfeel, gives a lot of good flavor, and lactose that we're putting in is like lactose sugar because that's an unfermentable sugar, so it doesn't drive the alcohol content up but leaves you with residual sweetness.
So we're sitting here outside of some pineapple puree, right? And so I, knowing very little about the process still, I know we cut some actual fruit, but what's the point of this?
The point of this is so we don't have to spend 15 hours chopping up pineapples ourselves. It is 100% pineapple puree. It's not like fake flavor or artificial concentrate, blah, blah, blah. It's 100% pineapple puree. Just a huge machine somewhere takes the pineapples and turns them into a usable format for us.
That's perfect. I'm assuming this is one of those common practices that just doesn't get acknowledged a lot in the ads and the behind-the-scenes videos. Would that be safe to assume?
Yeah, probably. I mean, most people do it this way. There are some people who are maniacal and say, nope, we're going to spend 15 hours cutting pineapples, and so we can say that we did that, which is perfectly fine if that's the route you want to go. But most places, yeah, we'll do some amount of this, if not all.
Is there any, since it's effectively the same thing, there's no issue with using the fresh cut fruit and this together, correct?
Correct, yeah. It doesn't really matter. You could argue, the source of the pineapple could be slightly different, so maybe one tastes a little sweeter or a little less sweet, or one's got, more of a melon character comes to it. So there could be a little bit of difference in the flavor just because they're not necessarily sourced from, the same acre on the same farm.
Makes sense.
But, yeah, at the end of the day, it's pineapple.
Right. So how much of the puree have you drank when you're alone, Scott?
I only drink puree with a friend.
So what we're doing right now is just dropping some yeast off. You can't really add fruit to a beer with a whole bunch of yeast in it sometimes. It'll cause a secondary fermentation. So right now what we're doing is dropping it down, and we'll be able to load it in.
Sweet, thanks so much.
Absolutely.
It looks delicious. It's pourable pudding.
Yeah.
I'm really glad you guys let me drink so much of it. Oh, baby.
Real thick. And it'll start to thin out a little bit. But as long as it stays on your fingers, that means that there's still yeast. If it comes off your fingers, that means that you're at beer.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, not to be outdone, last time I ate some of the grains. This time I'm going to try the pineapple puree. I'm going to take a look in the cup. It's pretty thick. Oh, yeah, I definitely would drink an entire bag of that with or without friends.
Is it pineapple-y?
What's that?
Is it pineapple-y, though?
I got an idea. Hey, guys, so I tried the pineapple puree. What's the likelihood you guys are going to let me get out of here with one of those boxes?
Not a chance.
I've got to go with hard no.
Cool, well, thank you for your hospitality. Well, we had a great time today at 50 West Brewing, the 5th volume of Road to the Jungle beer. Sorry, got a little souvenir. Had a great time out here. That'll be in stores sometime around mid-September. Lucky, start the car. We got to get out of here. I got the pineapple puree. Come on. Well, thankfully they didn't catch me taking all the pineapple puree, but of course, thanks to 50 West, and guess what? It's in stores right now, so you can try some, and coming up soon on the show, we're actually going to bring the 50 West team in to make actual pineapple whip, the treat. Looking forward to it. Well, no more time for drinking. Coming up next, I met a while back Julie from Doh Joy Bread. We talked about her great keto bread that we carry here in the store, and we made a joke on the last episode about how I wanted to meet one of her bodybuilder friends. So she brought in Haley. Haley is an expert competitive bodybuilder here in town. She's got an event coming up in November. It's going to be crazy. And I wanted to talk to her about nutrition and some of the stuff that she finds at Jungle Gyms to help her stay in such crazy shape. So from that, let's actually go back to the studio this time. We made a joke about this a few months back, and now it's happening for real. So I'm welcoming back to the show Julie from Doh Joy Bread. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Mark.
And a new guest of the show, Haley. And I think that we've been threatening to arm wrestle for months now, but I'm glad that you're finally here. I don't want to lose that badly on camera, though. So
Right.
Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, I guess before we dive too far into it, Julie, how did you two get connected in the first place?
Well, so as you know, I have this low-carb bread called Doh Joy. So it has wonderful nutrition. It's also really tasty.
I love it. You've got it prepared with the plug right off the jump. I love it.
Right? I mean, got to do it.
It's great, too. Yeah, it's been awesome.
Sold here at Jungle Gyms in the natural food aisle.
Yep.
But in the course of just getting the word out about that, you know, it's a natural fit with people who are really actively working to improve their fitness and train. And some are very, new in the stages of recovering their health, recovering their weight. Others are really in, super fit. And that's sort of the range of people who are interested in this bread. So in the course of just getting the word out there, I met Haley at Westchester Fitness Club, and she became a very early advocate for Doh Joy. And then I started, for the first time, sort of seeing into this world of competition fitness. Blew my mind, and started getting really excited about how a bread like ours can fit into that kind of diet and that kind of lifestyle.
Sure.
So I asked Haley to talk to you about it, because if somebody like Haley, who is on a very, very intense diet regimen, can make Doh Joy fit in her diet, then surely more ordinary people, not that you're not ordinary, you're extraordinary.
Okay, thank you.
Other people can do the same with great success as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was the idea.
That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
So Haley, why don't you just lead in here? What exactly would you refer to what would your title be?
So I am a professional bodybuilder.
Okay.
I won my pro card on April 30th in Colorado. It was my first competition.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then I'm also a personal trainer, boot camp instructor, and a sports nutrition coach.
Amazing.
Doing macronutrients for people at Westchester Fitness Club.
That's incredible. So
yeah.
I want to talk to you about macronutrients and some of the dietary stuff for sure. So let's not forget that. But what does your day look like usually, right? What's your workout regimen like? How insane is that?
So, contrary to what what popular belief is, people think that they need to work, 6-7 days a week, or work out 6 or 7 days a week. I'm really in the realm of about 5 days a week, but that's where the importance of nutrition comes in, right? So my cardio right now is only 3 to 4 times a week, pretty minimal, steady state cardio. Once we get closer to my next competition, we'll be ramping that up. But right now it's just lifting weights, bodybuilding, focusing on a different muscle group every single day. We're 5 days a week, so.
How did you get into this?
So let's see, I've always been into fitness.
Okay.
In 2015, I really jumped into fitness. In high school, I was more of the cardio bunny, tracking calories, only eating, 800 calories a day, because that's what society tells us that we need to do when we want to lose weight. And then in 2015, I really started to get serious about bodybuilding, started working out, really enjoyed it, learned about macronutrients. Went into 2017, got married in 2019, COVID hit 2020.
Right.
I actually had a baby last February.
Congratulations again.
Thank you. And I've always dabbled in stepping on the stage and doing a bodybuilding competition. And I figured after I had my baby, I figured, why not now? So I started preparing last November and then competed in April and won my pro card, and then kind of changed the direction and path of my life, so career-wise.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
When you say the pro card, what does that actually mean?
So I won in my division. So I'm a figure competitor.
Okay.
So I won in my class and then the overall division. So I beat everybody up on stage that was in figure.
Oh, okay. And when you say that too, like, what does a figure competitor mean compared to, like, I know very little about your world. So
right. No,
explain
yeah.
it like I'm 5.
For sure. So there's bikini, there's figure, there's physique. Figure's in the muscle, is in the middle.
Okay.
It's a little bit more muscle than figure, than bikini. Yeah, I mean that's kind of all that it really is. Just more muscle.
No, that's cool.
Than bikini, right?
Is this a good time to have you flex on camera for us? Do you think?
Yeah,
Is
for
that a
sure.
good time? Yeah, I mean.
Do I need to sit here and flex, or do you want me to get up and flex?
Yeah, if you want, we can stand you up against the walls. That seems like a good shot, Luck. Or if you want to just stand up right there and do it.
Yeah, sure.
And show up. Everybody in the store is going to be like, what is he having done? I'm like, yeah, I'm really this is the after hours show. I'm just having, strength and conditioning people stretch. Look at that. That is insane.
We'll be getting really shreddy here soon after we get to the competition. But.
Sure.
Couple back shots for you.
Yeah, right.
Is everyone creeping in here yet?
Not yet. I'm honestly a little disappointed.
But that's what you have to do on stage, right? Like, what are some of the poses you have to...
It's a whole thing. I'm in a bikini that's all bedazzled out. I have heels on. You go out, you do a whole entire routine, you flex, then they line you all up with other competitors, and there's judges, and then they judge you right there, and then they send the papers up on stage, and then...
Insane.
Figure out if you win.
That's wild. Yeah, so you're like real life She-Hulk right now. That's streaming.
Hey, yeah.
That's where I'm at.
It gets wild. The closer, like I said, the competition. I mean, you have to be stage lean, right? So stage lean is 8-9% body fat is what I need to get down to.
Yeah.
I was just talking to Julie on the phone the other day, and I'm between now and November 18th, I'm looking to lose between 10 and 15 pounds.
Okay.
And that's where you get freaky looking, and that's where people in public are like, what is this girl doing? You know what I mean? And it's just not maintainable, right?
Sure.
But that's
how
what
long
you need to do
do
to
you
make it
maintain
happen.
that? Is that
Oh gosh. I mean, as soon as I stepped off stage, I was adding back in calories. I mean, there's a certain threshold. I was just essential body fat. Yeah. So after that, you want to slowly add in your calories, not to add in a whole lot of fat, right? And it can be, I mean, it's a mental process too. It can be really challenging.
I'm sure.
So between April 30th and now, I had gained about 15 pounds, which is pretty standard, which is a good slow gain, I would say.
Yeah. I did that just this afternoon, so
Hey,
I had a
that's
bowl
fine.
of pho. It
You know
was
what? It's
amazing.
just water weight. It's cool. You'll lose it.
That's what I keep telling myself.
No
right?
worries.
Oh, funny. I was going to tell you to slide in a little bit. Thank you. You're reading my mind already.
I got you.
Another one of your many skills. So we mentioned the expression macronutrients before. What does that mean? Because I'm sure most of us have, we understand the concept. So large nutrients, but I know that's not
right. Hilarious. It's funny that you say that too. I mean, it should be, to me, in my eyes, it should be common knowledge. So when anybody is looking to lose weight or put on weight or gain muscle or both at the same time, typically people want to track their overall calories. And that's kind of what I touched on when I was in high school, just track your calories, right? That's what society tells us to do. And if you're in a caloric deficit, you're going to lose. If you're in a surplus, you'll gain. Tracking macronutrients looks at your carbs, your fats, and your protein. Okay. Carbs, fats, protein are what make up calories in foods. So everybody is given a different ratio dependent upon different variables: your age, your height, your weight, your sex, and activity level. And so my macronutrients would be completely different than yours. Sure. Yours would be obviously completely different than Julie's.
Right.
And as a bodybuilder, a lot of people don't even eat enough protein in general. Just lifestyle, people just don't eat enough protein.
Sure.
It's a lot of salads, right? Apples, fruits when you're thinking of losing weight.
Yeah.
So as a bodybuilder, I always suggest you eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight.
Okay.
And so right now, for me, I'm eating 1,800 calories in a deficit, and still losing about 0.5 to a pound per week. So macronutrients is, again, just taking a look at your overall calories, but what type of calories you're eating. That makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. So something you were kind of touching on before we hit record on this, and I thought this was interesting, is that it's funny. The first place I ever saw it was on some MTV documentary they were doing about Usher. And it was about what he was eating on tour. Yeah. And he was like, you want abs like these, you've got to work out like this. And he was eating the traditional combo, chicken, rice, broccoli. And that was about it. And I have a feeling, just judging from what we were talking about, that doesn't have to be necessarily true anymore, right?
No.
Or maybe it never was.
No, not at all. I mean, and that's what a lot of bodybuilders, even competitors, are going to eat: the chicken, rice, broccoli, blueberries, oatmeal, asparagus, egg whites.
Yeah.
And that's what they eat through the whole entire duration of their prep.
Right.
So for me, just by tracking macros, now you do have to weigh and track your food in a calorie tracking app, right?
Yeah.
But I was still able to eat chocolate chips, cheese, bread, peanut butter every single day.
Yeah.
And I was still able to lose weight.
So you were just effectively like kind of just moving it around to make it fit within whatever the goal actually was.
Yeah, you're given your carbs, your fats, and your protein, and you want to hit that every single day. And if you're allotted, if you're in a calorie deficit, you just have to come within about 5 grams of each macronutrient. Now it is tough, right? And it's a little daunting for people at first. Yeah. But if nothing else, I mean, to me, it should be common knowledge for people to just understand, because I don't think people understand even what a serving size should look like for
No,
food.
not at all.
Right?
I mean, that's definitely a big American problem, I think,
For
across
sure.
the board.
For sure.
So and I'm glad that you're on here giving us some of this information, and I'm hoping this is just the beginning of a beautiful friendship. That
me too.
Me too. The future. Right? It'll be fun. Yeah, no, because it's something. Obviously, I have some concern for my health. Maybe not as much visually as necessary.
You can do this too?
Obviously, a big common misconception these days in the American food game, which I'm glad you have. I know you know where I'm going with this one. But you mentioned things like, a big one I was always told, they're like, and I had a lot of success with this at the time, but then I was like, this is a miserable way to live, where I was just cutting certain things out, right? It was like, just hard cut dairy, hard cut this, and while it was effective, it became unsustainable.
Not maintainable.
Right, because after a few months, I was like, I'm going to eat all the cheese, and I'm very unhappy, and then I gained
diet.
the weight back. Yeah, right. And so that's where I went to the bread thing, because right now you see so much of this. People are afraid of bread in general, right? That's crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I guess this is a good lead in for the Doh Joy thing, right?
Totally.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, we all have those foods that we grew up with and that we have great memories of eating as kids. Many of us are emotional eaters. And so for me, bread was always the food that I came back to for comfort, for nourishment, for all the things. And so, as I've gotten older, I've been advised by healthcare professionals, trainers, you really need to cut back on your carbs, and that means bread. And you hear it all the time from people, and it for me, I personally think it's really sad, because bread is just a really special food.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that should not be cut out of the American diet.
Right.
because it's nourished mankind for millennia, but
Right.
I digress. So it was important to me, and it really kind of reached a height for me during the pandemic when, like so many people, I was stocking my pantry with whatever I could get my hands on. And suddenly, the low carb breads and, the low carb crackers and all the things that I was trying to do to compensate for this low carb life that I was trying to live no longer were available to me. And so I'm eating bread again, and I'm eating pasta, and I'm gaining weight. So I went to my food scientist friend, Sarah, and I was like, "You've got to do something about this. Like, this is a crisis for me, and I know I'm not alone here. So how do we make this work?" And so she created this bread. So
It's amazing.
So I mean, when we talk about macronutrients in bread, I think a typical bread, whether it's whole wheat or white,
Right.
is at least 90 calories.
Yeah.
This bread
Oh, yeah.
has 40. Carbs in this bread, total carbs are 10. Traditionally, a bread's going to have at least 20.
Yeah.
Most of which is sugar.
Right.
And so that's what's special about this bread is you can, the carbs in it are 9 grams of dietary fiber, no sugar. So it's all really nutrient dense and yet still has that fluffy texture and quality that people
Yeah,
love.
like
that
when we
bread
did the
should.
taste test on it,
Yeah.
everybody was like, "Oh, we like it. It's got a great chew.
Oh, yeah.
It's really good."
You can't tell that it's low carb.
Right. No, and that's the important part, I think, for the public. And then
Absolutely.
you mentioned, you make a great point too that like eating a traditional sandwich on this is going to be just from the bread alone. You're cutting the calorie count on that easily in half, if not less, or
Right.
more than half. But you know what I mean?
Right. So for people who maybe are not as focused on the macros,
Right.
maybe are more focused on calories and
Yeah.
are just have that belief, I gotta just cut my calories and I'll lose some weight. This works for them too. If you're a Weight Watchers person, it comes up as a 1 on the
Okay.
Weight Watchers
Yeah.
point. So it works for a lot of different diets. And overall, it's nutritionally, as good, if not better, than most healthy breads on the market.
Yeah, it
So-
makes sense to me. Yeah.
so it's just, this is one of many products that are now on the market that, not just bread, but pastas. There's a lot of options out there now to us today that
Right.
weren't there,
For
many
sure.
years ago. So you don't have to just eat the chicken and the broccoli and the rice in order
Right.
to
Yeah.
achieve your fitness goals. Does it cost a little more? Yeah.
Well, that's a
it
trade-off.
absolutely does.
Right.
Yeah.
Most bread doesn't include a food scientist. You know what I mean? On payroll.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and actually, Haley and I were just talking about that, and that does aggravate me, because to create this product did require science. And, I think some people are afraid of that word in food.
Right.
But the reality is, everything is science. Everything is made up of chemical
Right.
compounds and properties. And to get this to a place that is easily, that is tasty as well as nutritionally good for you, required the scientists to do that work. I mean, it's a very, very precise formula.
Sure.
And so when I see stories on other brands, I'm not talking bread specifically here, although there
but
are
just
some.
sure.
Where they're like, "Oh, I just whipped this up in my kitchen." I'm like, "Did you though?"
Yeah, you're like your kitchen looks a lot like a Walter White's lab
Like a lab.
facility. Yeah.
Cook
That's
that up
too
in a
funny.
lab. But and it's fine, that's fine. It just like honesty though, I think is
Oh, it's
important.
huge. Oh,
yeah.
Something of a bygone era. Transparency in
Yeah.
marketing, I think, is something that's getting really popular right
Yeah.
now. But I feel like for a long time, that just wasn't a thing at all. People are like, transparency. You mean clear plastic bags?
Right.
No.
Well, and consumers do today have a healthy skepticism of
For sure.
and they should,
Right.
because like obviously this is a product that's great for somebody who's on a diet,
Yeah.
who's diabetic, who's following a keto diet, and if you are not honest and you have a product that's out there and it actually doesn't have the correct carbs as reflected on the label and it spikes somebody's blood sugar and they're
Right.
insulin resistant, like that's a problem for people.
It's a real problem. Yeah.
So I guess the point here is you really do have to be very careful about looking at labels, and
Sure.
I think more and more people are getting into that. And kind of just to come back to what we were talking about, price sensitivity.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do have to just pay more for quality.
It happens.
And-
But by the way,
Yeah.
we're in a world right now where everything's kind of
I
going
was just
up.
gonna say everything's inflated right now.
So just,
So
I'm at that point where I'm like, all right, this is just what
it
is.
is
Yeah.
what it is.
I just
right.
stopped
What are you gonna
looking.
do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even. Yeah.
Oh no! I
Same.
was going to say. Well, I wanted to ask you, Haley. Like,
Uh-huh.
what are some maybe common meals or things that you've been eating or making to be macronutritious? I know that's not the right word.
No, yeah.
But I could not say it.
Yeah, within my macro goals.
Yes, thank you.
I mean, a lot of obviously proteins, right? Shrimp, rotisserie chicken, a lot of salmon, you know, a lot of fillets.
Sure.
Filet is actually, depending upon, I mean, it's very high in protein, and you can get lower fat content too.
It's funny, we did a big meat special recently on the show, and we talked about that, how filet is kind of, at once, it's a kind of an undersung hero in that regard because it is predominantly less fatty than most other beef cuts.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
but
for
maintains
sure.
the tenderness. You know?
Right. Yeah, exactly. French toast I actually made with Doh Joy. It's delicious.
That sounds awesome.
Oh yeah. Banana pre-workout. Let's see, protein powders, protein bars, obviously.
And how much protein are you trying to get in your diet every day?
Right now I'm at 160 grams per day. Yeah.
That's a lot
So,
of
I mean,
protein.
sometimes I'll walk around with just eating rotisserie chicken and some G. Hughes barbecue sauce,
Yeah,
low
what's wrong with
sugar,
that?
you know?
Yeah, no,
I
that
mean,
sounds awesome.
just bowls of protein.
And that barbecue sauce is really good
Oh
too,
my gosh,
especially
it's
for
so
being sugar-free. It's
delicious.
crazy.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like hot on that. And I was like,
I
you know,
tell all of my clients that from Westchester Fitness Club. Yeah.
I've been trying to keep a sugar-free lifestyle for a while, so when that became a thing, I was like, oh, I can have sauce again? That's crazy. I missed that.
This
you
is
know?
amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
That's so cool.
And then, like I said too, I mean, peanut butter,
Yeah.
chocolate chips, cheese.
Sure.
Okay, we were talking about cheese earlier. I eat all of the cheese.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as it stays within my fat content,
Right.
right? So everything with flexible dieting, and that's another term that we call it too. I actually run a nutrition group over at Westchester Fitness Club called Flex.
Okay.
And it's a flexible dieting lifestyle to where you can eat, you know, 80% of the time you are eating the whole foods, the unprocessed foods, right? But then the other 20% of the time, enjoy your treats.
Right.
Enjoy it, right? Live life unrestricted. Don't restrict yourself to all of the food because like we discussed earlier, 9 times out of 10 you gain the weight back that you
Right.
lose almost automatically, and then it's just a continuous yo-yo
Yeah,
diet.
and
for
I'm
the rest of your
terrible at
life.
a yo-yo, so at this point, I'm just like, I don't want to.
A lot. I mean, nutrition is tough. It's so hard.
It really is. No,
It's the hardest.
It's the struggle for everybody. So I'm
yeah.
always in awe of someone like yourself who's able to just get it in line and stick to it, and then
Yeah.
be so successful in the field, like where you are professionally fit. You know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
what? I'm
yeah.
professionally fat. I'm getting that. That's going to be my next merch, and then I'll lose the weight, and then no one will buy it. It'll be great.
I'll get
that's
you to
amazing.
where you need to be.
That would
you
be
know?
awesome. We'll talk off air for real. Okay, so let me ask you this then. We'll close on this. Where can people follow your fitness journey most easily? Do you like Instagram, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, Instagram, HalesXO_, and then I'm on TikTok too, Hales Fit Talk.
And Hales, can you spell that just so I...
HALES.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, we should do
Yeah,
it. We'll
thanks.
work up a TikTok collab at some point here.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a
You
blast.
get the Jungle Gyms TikTok?
I love
That's fun.
TikTok.
Yeah,
It's
it's
so much
awesome.
fun.
And Julie, how about a little shout out for Doh Joy too? Obviously, you mentioned, and I'll say something that I said off air to you too.
Yes, please.
That I'm sorry, this keeps wiggling a little bit. No, I want you to be comfortable. So, no, I want to mention something. It's like, that's what I really want people to see is watch me doing that. No, something I thought was really smart that you did here, and I had a customer talk to me about it the other day, like I told you before, but not only can you get this here at Jungle Gyms, but if you come at the right time, obviously while supplies last,
Yeah.
there are occasionally single slice samples that you can try that are right next to the actual
Yes.
display over Natural Foods, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, we deliver the bread fresh on Thursdays.
Oh, so that's a good day to get
come
it.
on Thursday afternoons,
Yeah.
and we usually stock our little single serve samples along with the bread. You
Yeah.
can take it for free and try it before you buy it.
Such a great idea too.
Thanks.
It is,
Yeah.
yeah.
And dohjoy.com, right? as well?
Dohjoy.com is the website. Doh Joy Bread on Instagram.
Perfect.
Yep.
And then you guys are on TikTok. Yeah.
And we're on TikTok and Facebook.
Yeah. So give them all a follow, everybody.
Thank you.
Well, thank you both for your
Yeah,
time so much.
thanks.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Always
Thank
great to see you,
you.
Julie.
You
It's been a
too.
real pleasure to meet you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
absolutely.
And
Nice
your
meeting
next
you. Thanks
competition
for
you said
having
is in
me.
November?
November 18th in Hollywood, California.
Oh, okay. So you're going, I was going to say, like, let's go. I'm like, that would be a tougher one to sell.
Hey,
But the
come
next
on
one that's
out.
like regional, I mean,
Come
I would. Yeah,
on.
I've got
Yeah.
family in Irvine. It'll be fun. Awesome. Well, really nice to meet you again.
Yeah,
Thanks for the
thanks
time.
for
And
having
if
me.
I don't talk to you beforehand, which I will make sure that's not a thing, but good
Yeah.
luck on your competition.
Hey,
You're going to
thank
kill
you.
it. Yeah,
Appreciate
you're so
you.
welcome.
Thanks.
All right.
Haley, we wish you the best. And of course, Julie, thanks so much for coming back in. I'm hanging out with my loaf of Doh Joy right now. And guess what? There are currently samples that's available in the store right now. So if you come out over here to Natural Foods where I'm hanging out, you can find that. So, I know we talked about Doh Joy, but we're also talking gluten-free and vegan baked goods this week from Chubby Bunny Bakery. We're also joined by Chickpea Chicks It's going to be a great time. We've got a lot, I get a lot of questions about, are there vegan options? What are some other recipes that are outside of the typical American carnivorous diet? So I thought this was a fun opportunity to learn about a product that we carry here in the store and that we've been a big part of helping grow into a large brand. And of course, an opportunity for me to eat a bunch of delicious treats. So meet the teams from Chubby Bunny Bakery and Chickpea Chicks Hummus. We know that I've been looking for, I keep calling it unorthodox food pairings or weird food combos, and I thought this was an interesting opportunity here, so I'm going to just lead into my original joke. But I'll let you both introduce yourselves first. So, actually, why don't we start right? Kelly, why don't you start here? Tell me who you are and what you've brought with you today.
Okay, I'm Kelly Armstrong, and I am Chickpea Chicks Hummus, and I brought an array of sweet and savory hummus.
Exciting. And Allison?
I'm Allison Moore, and I own Chubby Bunny Bakery, and I brought pumpkin donuts and pumpkin swirl brownies.
We're here for the fall action, ladies. I really appreciate it. So, all right, my question I teased you both with before we started was, why are you both here together? Like, I assume you're friends, but what's the connection here for real?
We're actually married.
Oh, perfect. Okay. That makes way more sense. It's the most progressive episode I've done in 2022.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was sort of curious because I was like, oh, this is not two necessarily brands I would see immediately together, but I was like, oh, no, this will be fun and we can talk about it. So,
It's a love story. We met at the farmer's market.
Mm-hmm.
We were neighbors at the farmer's market in
I think
Oxford.
I watched this on the Hallmark Channel.
Yeah, it's pretty popular. So Kelly used to produce out of the YWCA, and I produced out of Finley Kitchen downtown for a long time.
Yeah.
And then when I was moving out, I couldn't afford to stay in Finley Kitchen forever. I found a space, and I was like, Kelly, you're coming with me. And she was like, no. No. And then the YWCA has now closed, and they're moving and they're building a new facility on the east side of Hamilton.
Oh, okay.
So it was the natural next step that I was like, come live with me.
Right.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
And we don't cross-contaminate anything. And
the products,
we're allergy friendly.
They're
Sure.
both, they're both gluten-free. They're both vegan.
Yep.
Her product
Nut-free.
doesn't have nuts. My product, it just works.
Mm-hmm.
That makes perfect sense now. And I feel dumb now not thinking about that way. But it's such a cool thing. Well, and it was something I always try to take a bit of like a human interest angle in all these things.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's really nice because it's wonderful to me, at least, to see independent vendors or just vendors in general who are like teaming up.
Mhm.
And, I would assume you both help each other out. There's clearly
Yeah.
some camaraderie here, not
Oh, yeah.
to spoil our off-camera antics, but I think that's kind of an uncommon thing, right? So many people are like, this is a space for me.
Right.
And-
There's a lot of ego involved.
For sure. And clearly not in this case. So, thank you for, hopefully this is inspiring people out there watching to be cooler about that in general.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, congratulations to both of you for being those kinds of people.
Yeah, it's just easier to do it with someone else.
Yeah, support. All kinds
We
of-
go through a lot of the same stuff,
Mm-hmm.
believe it or not. We're in a lot of the same stores. We deal with a lot of the same people. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, let's dive into the inception of this. Kelly, I'll have you go first. So how did you get into doing hummus? What was the inception of Chickpea Chicks?
So a friend that I went to art school with
Mhm.
thought that we should start a project together.
Yeah.
And she always went to the farmer's market that Allison mentioned. And she was like, we were brainstorming on what to do. And she was like, and I made hummus for our little brainstorm. She was like, I think the answer is right in front of us.
Yeah.
And I was like,
It's just a little closer for you. Sorry.
so
Yeah.
that's how I got started at the farmer's market on the weekends. And then it just snowballed into more and more and more. And I quit my other job and went for this. And
Full-time hummus. I love it. Well, it's really cool to me. I'm assuming, did you start out with as wide of a variety of products as you have now, or is that something that's just expanded over time?
I had two initially, went to the farmer's market, and the market manager, I was like, oh, I think we're going to start in a month so we can get our packaging designed and our logo and other flavors developed. And he was like, oh, I want you here next week. So I was like, oh. So then within a week, I made 2 other flavors.
Oh, wow.
And showed up and met Allison.
Aw. Well, then in that case, let's set it down this way too, Allison. How did you get started in this?
So I've struggled with health issues pretty much my whole life. And, part of it factored into, like, I have stage 4 endometriosis, and part of that was like, you know, you should try this diet to, you know, and I reacted to all these different foods. And, you know, I would come to Jungle Gyms and I would look at all the products and I would read them all and then put them back because I couldn't eat what was in it.
Sure.
So I started just, you know, learning how to bake everything myself.
Oh, okay.
And then my mom's just really pushy. And she's like, you know, I want you to sell this at the farmer's market. She's like, I already signed you up. And I was like, oh,
Right.
okay. And then, you know, like I did the farmer's market for the summer, and she's like, I called Jungle Gyms. And I was like, you did what? And she's like, yeah, they're waiting to hear back from you. And I was like, what? And
She was your marketing manager.
yeah, I took Jungle Gym samples. At the time, it was Elizabeth Weed was over that area, and she loved it. And she's like, you start next week. And I was like, what? And like I was like, I'm gonna get hand surgery, like real quick, just real quick.
Right.
And she was like, really? And I was like, I already got it scheduled. I'm just gonna get it done real quick. And
Sure.
like in the meantime, they were like, are you gonna start? Are you gonna start? And I had this like tiny little shelf that, you know, they gave me, just
Right.
like a side thing, and they were like, you need an end cap. And I was like, I'm not sure I do. Like I like constantly refilling this shelf, like on such a small level. Like I would bring stuff in these goofy little baskets, and it's hilarious now. Like
Right.
when you look back on it.
Sure.
And you know, finally she's like, end cap now. And I was like, okay, I find someone to build this end cap with the end cap, and now I'm on my second end cap. And
Congratulations.
you know, but this coming year, 2023, is my 10th year in Jungle Gyms.
Wow. Congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Wow. And you're in both stores, right? Because I think you're
I
in
am
Eastgate
in
as
both
well? Okay.
stores. Mm-hmm. So is Kelly.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I saw that on display the other day while I was over there, actually. So I figured to double check on yours because I didn't look hard enough. But,
Yeah.
and I'm always doing a little research and trying to be somewhat mindful. So now I'm trying to think, what's the collab? Have you guys worked on a product together yet?
Yeah.
Oh.
We did
We did parfait jars where we layered
Oh, that
cake
sounds fun.
and hummus, the dessert hummuses.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds really good.
Yeah.
and then you filled chocolate cupcakes with the chocolate raspberry hummus in the center.
So I mostly do the dessert hummuses, right? But
Sure. Yeah. I now I'm sitting here. I'm like, all right, what's my weird combo that I would try to come up with these? Well, I'll find out when I take all of it home and then eat all of it in private. And then whenever I'm not too ashamed to share that I blended together, I'll be like, hey, have you ever thought about this?
yeah.
Well, I'll start with you, Allison. Do you have a favorite product in your lineup?
Oh,
Is that like picking your favorite child?
probably.
So easy then.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like Eva. I would say my most popular product is the pumpkin chocolate chip muffin or pumpkin chocolate chip donut.
Okay.
It's the original OG product.
Okay.
It was the first one I ever made, and it's still the most popular one. It's
Well,
still I make
yeah.
the most of it.
We
right?
brought one in for display, and as I know, I was telling you off air too. Literally, we've been stopped multiple times this week because that's been a very favorite product, and it's and you know, I guess I'll just repeat it since we're on air now. But I do think it's really cool that you are offering products that really cater to a wide variety of customers, and I know that customers really, really, really appreciate that because there's no reason they should just be stopping me in the store to tell me that, but they do. I think it's honestly a really cool thing, don't take that in a bad way, everybody watching. I want you to stop me, but you know what I mean, like.
Yeah.
But since I have no direct involvement in it, I'm just always like, that's really cool. I'm glad you're happy. And then I'm like, oh, I'll tell them when they come on the show.
Yeah.
And here we are.
They know you're connected.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, right. I'm like, I got this big bright wall and all that stuff. Kelly, how about you? Do you have a favorite one in your lineup?
I also go back to my first.
Yeah.
The lemon.
Yeah.
The lemon was my very first baby. But right now, and I haven't brought it in yet, but I brought you a sneak preview.
Ooh, oh, that's thank you very much, by
You're
the way.
welcome. And it's pizza.
Cool. Oh, okay. I
Doing
see.
really well. Yeah.
And you know what, folks? I'll show you this. We brought some of the products we've got on the table. We don't carry the very small ones. That's a Mark podcast host benefit only. You got to buy adult sizes there, but this is so I can try to know what to tell you all to eat. I hear a lot, obviously, about your Cincinnati, the Cincy style. Excuse me.
Yep.
I hear that one being very popular. One that gets talked about quite a bit too. It's so cool. I wanted to ask about the sweet side. Mm-hmm. Are the ingredients much as far as like the base layer, right? Are we still using things like chickpeas and that to make it, and then you're just adding other flavors?
I use chickpeas in the pumpkin pie, and I also have a gingerbread during the holiday season that I use chickpeas in.
Wow.
But
so are you suggesting the Christmas menus already? That's an inside joke, folks. No, that sounds delicious, though. But the other ones, I'm sorry to cut you off.
Oh, that's okay. But
for my poor attempts at humor.
The chocolates are made with black beans.
Oh, cool. Awesome. So,
but everybody else is chickpea.
And that makes sense too. And I was always curious about that. It was one of those things. So I haven't ever really tried a dessert hummus before. So I'm excited you brought some.
It's still a weird concept to a lot of people.
But the thing is, at the end of the day, it's like food is food, and you're eating it for the taste. You know, I'm like, how many times are you actually eating this? And you're like, oh, black beans. You know, you're like, you know what I mean? Now it makes me want to season actual, just unprocessed black beans at this point at my house with other delicious flavors,
like chocolate.
Exactly. I mean, that's going to be the thing. It's like me and a bottle of Hershey's in the kitchen one day. Like, let's see what happens. Sure, it won't be as good.
This is healthy.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Chocolate beans.
Yeah.
Do you all ever invite like your audience to suggest flavors or anything like that? Do you get those kinds of requests from people?
Oh.
I feel like people ask all the time, but it's hard to do what we call test kitchen because we work like 14 hours a day.
Right.
So we would love to. And I think that's both where we both thrive is in creating new products, but you get stuck in the, I have to make all this stuff for the masses. And, you know, we're like, we have time for test kitchen this week. And then it's like, no.
Play the hits.
Yeah.
I mean, it is nice when people suggest other flavors because that makes you know that they're
showing interest in the product for one.
Right.
And they care.
Yeah, and that's like, you know, and I feel like at the end of the day for anybody, that's probably ultimately really what you're hoping for, right? Is that they're truly engaging enough to be like, I love what you do.
Right.
Listen, I love dill pickle, but have you ever thought about sauerkraut, for example? You know what I mean? Something like that.
I get that suggestion before.
As soon as I looked down, I was like, what's the thing I'm going to say next? And that was the first thought I had. I feel like Cincinnati would love that too. You know, it's your Oktoberfest special.
Right.
But I imagine that's got to be the hardest part. So, and now you're going to make a sauerkraut donut.
It would be so
Please
moist.
Can you imagine?
There's a sauerkraut festival, and they do.
Really?
I thought they do sweet stuff.
Sweet
Oh,
things.
that'd be cool. I'd be down to try it. I have a rule.
You should go.
I'll try
Oh my
anything
gosh.
twice.
Yeah.
You know? Is it local? Is the festival local?
I feel like it's
Semi-local?
Waynesville or something?
Oh, that's not too
what
far.
I was thinking.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm into
I
that.
mean, you're going to be going to the Ren Fair anyway, and that's that.
Let's hope
direction,
so. Yeah. That's what I'd really
you'll be
like to do.
familiar with the
I'm trying to
area.
figure out, I'm like, what's my tie to go to that? Because I really just want to put on a suit of armor and fight somebody with like a halberd or something.
And,
That's the big thing this year, apparently, is they have like actual armored people. Yeah, I know this woman who does that now. That's like her big, she was an artist as well, but she's been pushing. She's like, you got to come check this out. And I was like, I kind of want to, but also a little scared. What if I like it? What if this is that moment where I'm like, this is my thing? You know what I mean? I just want to put on armor and fight people now. You know?
As long as they film it,
True.
you know.
Anything for internet clout.
Right.
That's where I'm at.
Yep.
you
Yeah.
know?
And you can totally eat there. 'Cause they have
That's true. Yeah, we
Lots
do a
of
whole
food.
turkey leg
Yeah.
special,
Mhm.
which I think, if I recall correctly, now that I've derailed everything, I don't think it's actually turkey legs. I think it's another.
It is.
Yeah.
It's,
Is it like
is it?
That's what I was thinking. It was like emu, ostrich, one of those. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah, it was one of those, like, I felt like it was in the, not early days of the internet, but somewhere
They're
in
like,
the
it's a
decade.
bird.
Yeah, they were
It's
just like,
fine.
you know, the turkey legs are not actually turkey legs at the Renaissance Festival. It's from this, you know, and I'm like, oh, I don't really care. If it tastes like turkey, that's really where I'm here.
It's more
you know?
historically accurate.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And again, that's the other reason I'm going to put on armor to eat turkey legs. The whole thing's a mess. So that's so cool. On a more serious note, Kelly, obviously you've got a lot of flavors here. Are you just selling these as like, is this just for dipping? I mean, how do you recommend people take and use your product?
So the Cincy style, people can add it to pasta sauce or just hot pasta and toss it and make like a chili spaghetti.
Oh, okay.
And we've also layered it with vegan or not vegan cream cheese and like some green onions chopped up and some vegan cheese or not vegan cheese and make like a quicker version of the chili dip.
Of course, yeah. Oh,
Great.
chili dip. I know a little too much about
Healthy
that on a
chili
personal
dip.
level
Yeah.
this way now.
It is faster and healthier.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Well, I think you put it well. I mean, it really is like just give a little boost to the dish that you're doing. And probably a non-traditional way of thinking of it. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Sure.
And how about you, Allison?
I just want
I don't
you
know
to
why I
eat
want
it.
to. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know why I'm giving you so much heat today,
Yeah.
but I've just felt like.
I can take it. It's
Yeah,
fine.
I was just saying you came with a good bit of snark today, so I appreciate it.
That's how I operate.
You're just hoping for people to eat it straight up.
Yeah, just eat it.
Have you ever had any
Possible.
people tell you they pair it with something strange that is on? That's been hot in my brain lately. You ever have somebody reach out and be like, you know what I really like doing is I like taking your pumpkin donut and I put yellow mustard on it or something like that.
Or use it as hamburger buns.
Oh, okay.
there you go.
I'm actually on board for that. That sounds like a good move.
There was a girl that made a smoothie bowl with it today and tagged me on it Instagram.
Looked
And
pretty
I
good.
was like, okay.
Yeah, I'm into that. A little like maybe some.
Yeah, like yogurt. And
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I've done that.
Throw that in there.
A little taste of that California acai bowl lifestyle,
Yeah.
you know, it's so popular. And how about you on that one, Kelly? You got anybody that's like, hey, this is something I really recommend doing and you didn't think it fit? Yeah.
I do. The sweet ones,
Mhm.
any of them, the pumpkin pie, the chocolate raspberry, chocolate coconut, or gingerbread are good stirred into oatmeal
Oh, cool.
or yogurt.
Okay.
Mhm.
That sounds really good. Great. Well, so what I'm going to do then, I think in the future, is I'm just going to go and try some of these combos too. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
So anything fun on the horizon for either of you that we can have customers expect, aside from knowing that we've got your great product here at Jungle Jim's International Markets?
We have the storefront on Main Street in Hamilton.
Oh,
You
cool.
can come out and see us. It's open 2 days a week
Okay.
from 11 to 4. So we do wholesale the whole rest of the week, but
Okay.
then we open to the public and sell direct. And, you know, I make cakes for
Which
people.
days are
And
those, by the way?
Friday and Saturday.
Awesome. So then we can come out and see you too. And if not, come by the rest of the week and visit us at Jungle Jim's to try it.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, ladies, thank you so much for joining me today. I had a lot of fun. I'm excited to try all this stuff.
Awesome. Thank you.
Aggressively. You can find me. You can find me in my kitchen, right near my refrigerator, around 3 a.m. eating these in my underwear. It's going to be great. So, all kidding aside,
Make
well,
sure
I'm
you
not kidding.
email us after you do it.
Of course, no. I'll set up the live stream and I'll have it right to you. I'm like, heads
better.
up. It'll be great. Not safe for work. Probably mostly safe for work. You know, you're your own bosses, so I'll let that be at your discretion. But no, I really appreciate you coming in. Thanks so much. I'm
Yeah,
looking forward
thanks
to.
for having us.
Of course, yeah. I'm excited for gingerbread coming in the near future too. So this should be great. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's the show, folks. Thanks so much for watching. Hey, don't forget, coming up in November, we've got the Jungle Jim's International Wine Festival. Tickets are on sale now. I'm going to be doing some content on it, and my personal goal is to sell out the connoisseur level tickets. Think of it as like VIP, but fancier, because it's wine. We've got all kinds of fun stuff coming up. I'm looking forward to making Dole Whip on the show. I can say Dole Whip because I'm not putting it on a product, but that's what we mean by pineapple whip. And on that, I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. Let's take off out of here, and I will see you all out in the aisles.
The Jungle Jim's podcast is recorded in the WJJI studio inside Jungle Jim's International Market in Fairfield, Ohio. The Jungle Jim's podcast is produced and hosted by Mark Borison.